There were many reasons why Moses had a bad self-perception, and many of those reasons are things we can relate to. Let me just give you the things that we know for a fact that Moses was struggling with, and let's see how many of us are touched by those same things. Moses struggled because he was adopted. How many of you guys know that? We've got a lot of adopted children in this house, my daughter being one of them. I think adopted children are special because they were chosen. It didn't just happen. And that's why Paul compares us as the children of God as adopted sons of God, because he was trying to tell us something. He made a plan to bring us into his life very intentionally. It wasn't a fluke. It didn't just happen. It wasn't because there were 3 cold winter nights with no lights on and nothing to do for recreation, but keep warm. Moses struggled with that because he was taken from his mother at birth. And he was raised in a foreign land by a foreign family. And though God blessed him to be able to have an attachment to his biological mother and to still get some of that Hebrew culture going in there a little bit, he still struggled with the fact of identity, because who am I? I don't know who I am. Moses wasn't raised in church. How can he go rescue a people of the Hebrew faith when he was not even raised in church? He wasn't even raised in that Hebrew faith. He wasn't church. He doesn't know how it's supposed to be done. Moses wrestled with fear. Fear because of that culture, Egypt, that was now his enemy. That Pharaoh that was now his enemy because of him killing a soldier. Fear because of his own inadequacies. Fear because of his own low self-esteem. Moses could not see himself being used by God because he lacked social skills. God said, I want you to go talk to Pharaoh. And he's like, who am I to go talk to Pharaoh? You know, I can't even talk without tripping over my own tongue. I'm not a great orator. I'm not a great speech maker. You need someone that is persuasive with their speech. That's not me. And him and God got in a big argument about that. God says, no, I've handpicked you. I've raised you up. This is your destiny. And God ended up having to raise up a sidekick to go with Moses, because Moses could never accept that God could use him to do something that he thought he was not good at. He said, how can I do this? You know, I'm lacking in social skills. He struggled with his confidence. He lacked confidence. He struggled with the concept, but wait a minute, I'm not ready. This has suddenly been thrust upon me. I haven't had time to mentally prepare myself. I'm not psyched for this thing yet. Some of you guys that have traveled out of the country, guys and gals, have you noticed that if someone just came in right now and say, load up in 5 minutes because we're going to Rwanda, it's like, well, wait a minute. Our reaction would be, well, wait a minute. In reality, you guys can say, oh, no, I'm ready to go. Let's get back to reality here. No, there's things we need to take care of. There's some ducks we need to get in a row. And I can tell you right now, I can almost go any place in the world and be ready to go for Jesus. But I got to have some time to psychologically prepare. Because I know I'm going to a place where I'm not going to get the foods I want to eat. I'm not going to get the bed I want to sleep in. I'm not going to travel in the conditions that I like to travel in. I know that there's not going to be any air conditioning once I get off the airplane. I know that nothing's going to be the same. I know I'm going to be eating things that potentially could affect me in a very negative way. And I'm going to be on the other side of the world where you do not want to go to the hospitals, because you will die if you go to the hospitals in those places, right? We went to Koforidua there in Ghana, West Africa. Went to the hospital there. It's like I was holding my breath the whole time I was in there. It was so full of disease and just people coughing and hacking. And it was nothing like here. It was like going back in time 200 years. I've been in Manila to hospitals that were like just these bombed out World War II shelters or something. We're just like, no, you don't have sick people in here. Paint peeling off the walls and stuff. I've got to be psychologically and spiritually ready for those things. Moses was battling that. Well, you've suddenly thrust this thing on me. I wish God would have told us, be instant in season and out of season, so we know to be equipped all the time. Moses wasn't. He struggled with that concept. Wait, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Moses was blind to his own abilities. As a pastor, I talk to people every single week, trying to pump them up and inspire them because I see the gifts of God in them. They can't see it. Well, I don't know. I don't think I can do it. It's like, what do you mean? I've seen you. I've watched you. This is in you. God has gifted you to do this. Well, I don't think I can do it. I just don't really feel like God has called me. It's like, no, you don't get it, do you? He's calling you right now. I'm asking you to do it. So God's asking you to do it. How many of you guys can receive that? If you think you're going to get a burning bush experience before you do anything for God, ain't too many of us going to be doing anything for God. You do know that, right? This is a more excellent covenant where we're supposed to not need burning bush experiences. We're supposed to respond to the Spirit of God that's living in here. And if we need a little bit of help, God has raised up leadership and put in our lives to help nudge us down the right direction. Because we see things in you that you don't often see in yourself. Moses battled all these things. Who am I? Who am I? Moses could see the need. He didn't argue with God about the suffering of God's people. He did not argue with God when God said, I've seen the suffering of my people. Moses was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's why I left there. I couldn't handle it, man. He could see the need, but he couldn't see the solution. He agreed with God. There was great need. Every one of us in here would agree with God. There's great need in our own town. This is our territory. We need to go around the world. This needs to be priority one. This town, this county is our mothership. It's our ground. It's our territory. It's our Canaan. And we don't have to have anyone convince us to see the needs. We see the needs. We won't argue with God or anyone else. But oh, how we struggle to see the solution if the solution is found by looking in the mirror. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you see needs or do you see answers to needs when you look in the mirror? When you look in the mirror, do you only see all of your problems and how God needs to come rescue you and how you wish God would send someone to make your life better? Is that what you see in the mirror? Or when you look in the mirror, do you see someone ready to go meet those needs? Do you see problems or solutions when you look in the mirror? Do you see someone needing to be rescued when you look in the mirror? Or do you see a rescuer when you look in the mirror?